Yes, I don't know where these things are coming from. Getting really tired of that. Okay. Not used to be on my phone to saw anything. Oh. Nice. I'm gonna have to pull over somewhere. Polish. Whatever. Okay.
Thinkers, the best writers on issues that matter. We don't do book notes here, but we do a deep dive with our authors and what they write, and I do read their books, and I actually let them speak, so I think that's important. Folks, I've come to realize through the years that you folks love to learn. So that's why I encourage you to sign up for the free online course produced by my friends at Hillsdale College. Actually, there's several courses.
Okay, got it.
There are so many Hillsdale courses that are great, compelling, so thoughtful. But one I think that's especially relevant these days is called American Citizenship and Its Decline. It is an incredibly important course for you, your family members, your friends, and more so because it's taught by one of the great thinkers of our time, Victor Davis Hanson, a tremendous historian, and this course highlights 4 factors that have seriously weakened American citizenship: illegal immigration, identity politics, the administrative state, globalization. During this dangerous and critical year for America, and it is that, this course reminds us, so we can remind others, of our duty as citizens to meet these serious challenges and defend freedom, both for ourselves and for our children. I urge you, encourage you, try to persuade you to register for this free course today. It's simple. Go to levinforhillsdale.com. That's Levin for Hillsdale.com. My friends, education is key in defeating the anti-American Marxists. So take advantage of Hillsdale's free online course on citizenship. Sign up right now. For Hillsdale.com. Levin for Hillsdale.com. Levin for Hillsdale.com. In New York, our friend Moses. We don't have a lot of time, brother. Go.
Not a problem, Mark. Always a pleasure, my friend. Good to talk to you again. So, Mark, here's my concern and also my question. Like, well, what does the GOP have to do, right? So now we're functionally funding taxpayer-funded asylum fraud because 90% of all these millions of people that have come to the country are not going to get asylum. So now my concern is, what should the GOP do? And even worse, we're going to have congressional districts in the next census that should not exist because they're going to be counted towards apportionments in these congressional districts.
That's what's going on. That's what I've been talking about. So even while they create confusion and anarchy when it comes to actual voting, what they are doing, though, is they're pumping up these Democrat districts with illegal aliens. Because remember, everybody, the Census and the Commerce Department have determined on their own that persons in the Constitution doesn't mean American citizens, it means persons. Anybody who comes into the country. So illegal aliens here illegally, their numbers will count for the creation of congressional districts. And the Democrats are doing this purposely in order to take the House, and that's what Moses is talking about. Well, I don't know. There's no simple answer other than we better get control of this government before it's completely out of control, and we don't have the power to do a damn thing about it. Because that's what the Democrats are up to, Moses. Call again, brother, a little earlier in the show. We'll be happy to bring you on. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, freedom fighters all over the world, our brothers and sisters in Israel and Ukraine and America. God bless those of you who are patriots, and I'm blessed to have you in the audience. I'll see you tomorrow.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for health care can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can say. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
It's a huge question. What is your home really worth, especially given the changing market? Hi everyone, Brian Sussman here from the Brian Sussman Show, Wednesdays 6 to 7 on KSFO. Bob and Sandy Jameson from the Jameson team have been my go-to realtors for years now. Because of their extensive executive background in the Silicon Valley, Bob and Sandy understand that your home is your greatest investment, and if you're going to sell, you want the very best offer. That's why they've developed a tool on their website that provides you with an instant home valuation. And then, and this is incredible, you can get a full price cash offer. Not a low ball like the iBuyers, but a full value offer. Seriously, if your home isn't selling, call the Jameson team for an offer, even if you've listed with another agent. I want you to call them today, 408-686-HOME. That's 408-686-4663, or online, sandyhasbuyers.com, and get top dollar for your home.
Aircraft carrier Hornet Foundation preserves and honors the legacy of the USS Hornet and its role in the Apollo program and exploration of space. For info, visit uss-hornet.org.
Talk Radio 560 KSFO San Francisco, KSAN HD2 San Mateo, a Cumulus media station.
He will lay out his historic achievement. Signed Lee Silasera, Fox News. Those words from White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre as President Biden prepares for his third State of the Union address.
Looking at what President Biden faced when he came into office and where we are now in this year, he's got more done in the first 3 years than most presidents have accomplished in 2 terms.
House Speaker Mike Johnson disagrees with the direction the country is going.
State of the Union is in decline. When you talk about our safety, our security, our sovereignty, our economy, every metric, and everybody knows it.
Johnson says the country is not in good shape because of the leadership in the White House. The House has passed a $480 billion package of spending bills to keep money flowing to key federal agencies through the remainder of the fiscal year. It now heads to the Senate. Philadelphia police say 8 teenagers were shot, 1 critically wounded, while they were getting onto a city bus this afternoon.
Philadelphia Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel says video shows 3 people parked near where the kids waited at a bus stop getting out of a car as the kids were entering that bus.
Charged multiple times. Over 35 state fire certificate.
The victims range from 15 to 17 years old. The shooters have not been caught. Recent incidents on mass transit have left 3 Philadelphians dead. Mayor Sherelle Parker said that can't happen.
We want no one in the city of Philadelphia concerned about whether or not that you come out and go to the store, go to the supermarket.
Federal agencies are helping to find the shooters.
Fox's Colonel Scott, a jury in New Mexico has convicted movie weapons supervisor Hannah Gutierrez-Reed of involuntary manslaughter in the fatal shooting of cinematographer Elena Hutchins on the set of the Alec Baldwin film Rust in 2021. America is listening to Fox News.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. So if you drive safely, you could save money. Good to know. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today.
The following show is furnished by Moskowitz LLP. The views, opinions, and beliefs expressed are those of Moskowitz LLP and don't necessarily reflect those of the staff or management.
Haley out of the race. Biden out of his mind. Trump in control. It's manifest destiny. Hello, everyone. Brian Sussman here. KSFO streaming live, ksfo.com. You can reach me via my website, briansussman.com. Just go to the contact page and I will receive your email. And of course, the phone lines. 415-08-5600. 415-808-5600. I appreciate all of you who have told me you have pre-purchased my new book, Climate Cult, Exposing and Defeating Their War on Life, Liberty, and Property. Some of you have also responded after seeing me as a guest on Newsmax recently. Thank you for that. and also a guest on the John Harris podcast and the Tom Nelson podcast. Podcasts are a big deal these days, and I'm very honored to have been on so many of late. I'll talk more about the book in just a moment. But let me just ask you a couple questions. Then we'll get into Haley out, Biden out of his mind, and Trump in control. What are some of the hallmarks of a cult? Were you ever a part of a cult? Do you know anybody who is in a cult or has been a part of a cult? Here are the hallmarks of a cult: fear and impending doom. Then there is sin and absolution, lawyership. Finally, there's a promise of a utopia. This is what all cults have in common. Now, these features are all present in the climate change movement. It's really true. All of these features of the cult are found in the climate change movement. And that's one of the things that I prove in my book, Climate Cult. For example, impending doom. A little later, I'll give you examples of some of the horrible things that people like Al Gore and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, have said to scare the wits out of people regarding climate change. But you see, this is what environmentalists have been doing, and I prove this in my book. They've been doing this, would you believe, since the 1800s. Karl Marx had a writing partner who basically funded the entire operation for Marx, who was just a miserable human being. Marx was a pathetic, miserable human being. He hated mankind. He loathed Christianity. Oh, but he loved the environment. Hated mankind, loved the environment. Didn't believe in God, yet nature was kind of God. He was miserable to his health. He had a helper, and we had an affair with, and every person that lived at his home, constantly helping him, was never paid. The entire time she worked for him, she was never paid. And then they had the affair on top of it. Marx was a miserable, wretched person. Hated mankind. Hated God. But he had a friend, Frederick Engels, who basically funded his operation. And Frederick Engels came out with the first climate scare in the 1800s. I write about this in Climate Law. It's amazing. And he talked about not global warming, but global cooling. Global cooling would eventually get so bad that the Earth would just stop. And then we go from Frederick Engels to some of Marx's direct disciples, who wrote long papers describing men surgeons of nature. And also the gentleman who, the first professor, the wacky professor, came up with the term ecology, another one of Marx's disciples. And there were others down the line that got us into the 1950s, where they were writing all sorts of crazy screeds about the evils of humankind and capitalism. By the way, capitalism is a term that Marx came up with himself. And that led us to Rachel Carson and her ridiculous book, Silent Spring, where she was decrying the use of DDT, a pesticide. You know, it's interesting. When I was attending San Jose State University, that's where I last name was Edwards. I think it was Gordon Edwards. Gordon Edwards. He was a professor emeritus by that time, and he would do some guest lectures. But he pretty much gone and retired. It was way into mountaineering. But he recalled a time, and he was a chemist. He was a chemist. During World War II, he was in charge of dusting the troops in the tropics with DDT. Why did they dust the troops with DDT? To prevent them from getting typhoid disease, and it worked. You hear all these crazy, I don't know if there's any merit to any of these, but I hear all these commercials for Cap Lejeune. If you drink Cap Lejeune water, you're eligible for Well, all of these guys got DDT and nobody got sick from it. In fact, Gordon Edwards, occasionally, when he would lecture about DDT, he would take a little packet out of his pocket and a teaspoon and a glass of water and take a teaspoon of DDT, put it in a little cup of water, mix it around so everybody could see it, and then consume it. DDT was not toxic. You're wondering, oh, well, how did he die? Probably died of cancer, like all these guys at Camp Lejeune. Well, I'll tell you how he died. He died mountaineering in Northern California when he was, I think, 84 or 86 years old. You see, Rachel Carson was full of lies. The climate agenda is full of lies. Al Gore's full of lies. AOC's full of lies. Paul Ehrlich, his population bomb screed, full of lies. Full of lies. Can I say that now? Or do I have to fear getting sued? Seems like you've hurt somebody's feelings these days, you can get sued. Look at all the people who had their feelings hurt by various individuals who are conservatives. Lawsuits for feelings hurt. So you are, here we have now, scared, people getting their wits scared out of them because of climate change, that's impending doom. Then there's the sin element. You see, you're a carbon sinner. Oh yeah, you're a carbon sinner. You use too much fossil fuel in your car. You use fossil fuels to heat your home. You use fossil fuels to live a life concurrent with that of the developed world, but far, far unequal from those in the undeveloped world. It's not fair. You're a carbon sinner. But there's hope for you. Oh yes, there's hope. Absolution. You can buy an electric car that you can't afford. You can move into stack and pack housing. Get a stack and pack condo in San Francisco. Hey, rents are cheap these days. Condos are going for a pretty good buy as well. Nobody wants to live in San Francisco except the millennials. Take on a vegan diet. Hey, you can plant a tree. You know, trees absorb carbon dioxide, did you know that? So there's absolution of your carbon sins, your carbon sins. And then there's utopia. The planners of the climate agenda, and I write all about this in Climate Cult. The planners of the climate agenda, and I use primary source documents. The planners of the climate agenda at the United Nations and the World Economic Forum tell us that once we rid the world of carbon dioxide, rather excess carbon dioxide, which they say now is a pollutant. Did you know that? It's a pollutant. It was described, by the way, as a pollutant in 1992 at the Rio Earth Summit. 1992. You know who's there? George H.W. Bush. That wonderful phony George H.W. Bush. George H.W. Bush, the wonderful phony who pretended like he was conservative, but instead was a deep state actor. Oh, and he had his son as well, who fooled everybody pretty good too, George Bush. Excess carbon dioxide is now a pollutant. And once they get rid of that excess carbon dioxide, we'll enter a new era of morality. Oh no, that's what they tell us. The United Nations tells us that. World Economic Forum tells us that. All the major universities tell us. You know, all these broad-minded thinkers who look at us as the lesser-minded, they've got it all figured out. They say once we get rid of carbon dioxide, or the excess thereof, we'll enter a new era of morality. Social justice will flourish, as will social equity. No. Not the type of justice and equity that you find in the Golden Rule, but instead a new social justice and a new social equity that were defined in 2006. We talk about that in the book as well, the source document. It's a new social justice, it's a new social equity, and all the millennials, all the Gen Xers, and all the Gen Zers, for the most part, have bought it, hook, line, and sinker, because they were indoctrinated by it in the schools that are paid for with our tax dollars, as well as the private schools that families pay all this money. They want our kids to have the best education. How's that interstate baccalaureate program working out for you? You like the American history they teach in that? Because they don't. Social justice is going to flourish, as will social equity. But you see, the social justice that they preach, the social equity they preach, is going to be government-induced. It's carried forth by the brainwashed